Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cynthia Linox Show. I am your host, Cynthia Linox, here again to remind you that this is the best season of your life. I certainly hope you had a fantastic Valentine's Day yesterday, that you got all the chocolate you wanted, flowers, lingerie, and that you went out to eat at your favorite restaurant and really had a fantastic day. But just keep in mind that Valentine's Day is one that's celebrated. However, love and kindness should be something that's part of our lives that we celebrate 24/7, 365 days a week. When we are consciously aware of who we are, and we determine to walk in those virtues of love and kindness and so forth. So it becomes part of our lives, the way we treat people or family or spouse, family, friends, and so forth. So keep that in mind. It's not just a one day thing. And even gift giving, if surprise your spouse every now and then, or your kid or a family member or a friend with something extraordinary or just a little gift. So make that part of your life, because it just really adds gusto and meaning, and it just makes, it'll make you happy and the person happy as well. So keep that in mind. But just imagine with me for a second. I say a lot, this is the best season of your life, and I am trusting that you are now relating to that, and you are really consciously aware that it really is the best season of your life. Just pause for a second and think of where you are at. Think of where you were and the things you did and where you are at now, and the information that you have available to you now, and the changes that you're making in your life, and the things that you're desiring, and the weight that you're getting rid of, the fear, the worry, the doubt, the burden, and all those things that have burdened you for years. And now with information, and going through this journey of self-discovery, you're discovering who you are. And guess what? You are shaping your own identity. You're no longer being subjected to the thoughts and views and opinions of others, and the teaching of others, everything that's been imposed upon you that has shaped an identity that may be different from who you really want to be. They have called you introvert, they have called you shy, they have called you, not very social, and that may not be the truth of you. And when you learn and when you discover the truth of you, that's when you're going to really start having a great life. But it all starts with your thinking. It all starts in the mind. And once you understand how the mind works, you will see that you can change your life and make it really extraordinary, really, to live life on your own terms. One of the things I in sharing this whole thing about the mind and how it works, what comes to mind, or who comes to mind? I'm going to call this person Ruben. Ruben, Ruben in Spanish, Ruben in English. And he is really a classic example of how it works. Um, my husband and I were in Costa Rica years ago. We were in Costa Rica, one of our many visits to Costa Rica, and I was asked to speak to a group of young professionals. And Costa Rica, they have a lot of educated people, because I think they spend like what 95% of their, I don't know, gross national income on education. So they have an overload of professionals: doctors, lawyers, nurses, architects, engineers. Like our uh, niece is, she's an attorney. Her husband is a systems engineer, or nephews or systems engineer. They're all professionals, admirably so. And Costa Rica, um, is categorized as a third world country. And that's one of the things that I have issues with. But it's determined based on certain categories that is uh, assigned to the countries based on population and their ability to do certain things. So anyway, they're categorized as a third world country, and so I kind of had issues with that. So when in starting my share with these young professionals, um, these were men and women like 22 years old, because they were all professionals, college grad, and working in their careers and so forth. I would say between 22 and 26, 27. They were. So I start by asking, I said, well, how many of you walked here to the house? It was at my um, family's house, or my brother-in-law's house. I said, how many of you walked here? And so they kind of looked at me like, walked? Like I was crazy, because it's not a place where you're going to walk to, because they're coming from different cities and so forth. And so nobody raised their hand. I said, well, how many of you have a smartphone? Well, everybody raised their hand, and showed their smartphone. And I said, yet you are considered a third world country. And what I did actually was encourage them to take that stigma, that label out of their mind, because they're all professionals, working and making good money and really living good lives. But sometimes you can, labels can stigmatize you, and so it makes you feel sometimes less than. So I wanted to get that out of the way. So anyway, I motivate them and encourage them to live their lives now, and do all the things that, because most of them were single, do all the things that they want to do and so forth. And I just really, so at the end of that talk, at the end of that time, share, whatever, um, Ruben approached me and said, and he is a CPA, certified public accountant, and he said working for an American firm in Costa Rica, and he said, I really would like to learn English a little more fluently, and most of them are bilingual. But he said I would really like to learn English fluently, and I am hoping that I could come to the States and spend some time there and learn. Now, this person was brand new to us. We didn't know him at all, and he wanted our opinion. So he asked us to check in our city. We live in the U.S., to see if there's any school where they accept foreign students or exchange students or something of that nature, and the best school where he could learn English as a second language. So I did some research and so forth, but in the meantime, he was also doing his own research back there in Costa Rica. Excuse me. And so he calls us one day and he said, I touched, and this guy was assertive. He was like, he just knew that's what he wanted to do. And he, in his mind, there was no other way out. That's what he wanted to do. And he had such a determination he was going to do it. Remember, he's just meeting my husband and I, and he knows no one in the U.S., no one. So he was doing his own research, and he contacted us, and he said that he met this person online, a university student, and in talking with her, of course, he had his girlfriend there in Costa Rica, but he met this family actually, but the daughter, and in talking with her, and she said, well, he explained to her what he wanted to do, and she said, well, and they live in Michigan. And she said, well, you can come and stay at my house. And, she said, there are excellent bilingual schools here in Michigan and so forth. So she invited him to join her and her family to stay with them. I mean, it was just crazy. So he said that he, and that was confirmed. So he needed to come, to go to Michigan. So we said, okay, you can, come through Dallas because he would need a connecting city anyway. Miami, Dallas, whatever. We said you could come through Dallas, you could stay with us a few days, and then you could go on your way to Michigan. So we helped him in a lot of different ways and so forth. So he comes to Dallas, spends like, I don't know, 3, 4 days with us and had a blast with our family and so forth. And we just really enjoyed his company. The guy is very educated, very, very proper, very respectful. Just, I think by then he was about like 22 years old. So he comes to Dallas and, he spends that time with us, and his, next destination was Michigan. So he goes to Michigan, meets the girl. They had a great time, nothing romantic, just a person over there. And, again, in his mind, he just knew that he had to do that. There was no way that he was not going to come to the US to learn English as a second language or to improve because he really spoke it a little bit. So he goes to Michigan, and evidently the girl's parents were away. They were traveling, they were in Europe. And when they came back, he was at the house and so forth. And they didn't really care for the idea, as I understand the story. And so he bumped into another family, a family with a 10-year-old son. They just took in Ruben because he's a delightful young man. And they just took him in and embraced him, and, was a very affluent family. And they gave him a room in their home. And, he sent us pictures, of his room looking outside toward the creek. And we were like, oh, this guy is just incredible. And they just loved him because he could, he played with the, well, not played, but, taught their young son soccer. In Costa Rica, they play a lot of soccer and so forth. And, he knows all that. And so they really embraced him. This family would travel to Disneyland, Disney World, all over, and he would be traveling with them. They took him wherever they went. He was part of the family. And it was incredible because they got him a job, and, he was able to work, and they really treated him as part of the family. After a few years, he had now acclimated to the U.S. system, and he knew what he could do because of the way his mind worked, and how he think, and how he saw his life unfold because of his determination and his assertiveness in what he wanted. So his girlfriend, she was still back in Costa Rica, and he really wanted to bring her. He wanted to bring her here to the U.S. so that they could continue the relationship and so forth. But the girlfriend was, still in that mindset, that limited mindset, a mindset with a limiting belief system. And, there was fear, there was doubt, there was worry, there was all of that. And he reached a point to where he could not relate. So I remember him calling me, and he said, can you talk to her, please, so that she, because he, sees me as a great motivator and so forth. And I had met her because at the, at that little, workshop that I did, she was also part of that. So she remembers me, and I remember who she is. And so I got on the phone. Imagine, okay, so he's in Michigan, I'm in Dallas, and I got on the phone, and I was talking to her, and I said, no, I said, it's great. If you, but this, let me just digress a little bit. Before he left Costa Rica, he had he had a job. He was a CPA at a big firm, doing very well. And he sold his car and he took a leave of absence. He told him that, he's going to go and learn some English and then come back and so forth. So he did all that. So, anyway, so in talking to the girlfriend, she was just very worried. She was worried. She had no vision. She could not see beyond the borders of Costa Rica. She could not see anything beyond that. And again, she was also professional. They're all professionals at that meeting. And he was having such a hard time. He was having such a hard time because he loved her. And the bottom line is they broke up. He had to break the relationship because his desire and the things that the way he envisioned his life, the way he saw himself did not fit, did not match, did not, harmonize with her way of thinking. He used to think that way when he was in Costa Rica, or at least, had a certain limiting belief system until he thought, no, 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 no. And he said he just felt stifled and he wanted out. But he was so assertive and so determined that he had to get out. So anyway, he broke up the relationship. He just, sometimes that happens, especially when you have a burning desire, when you have a dream, a passion, a goal that you want to accomplish. And you have people around you that are small thinkers. They may be good people, but if they don't have any goals, any ambition, the conversation is different, and they can hold you back because of the things, low vibrational type of frequency, and you want something more out of life. Nothing wrong with that. It's just that, they were just at odds. So he broke up in that relationship and he continued there working and so forth. And then he went on to a university in Michigan, and he met this girl who was also a foreign student from Mexico. And he met her and they fell in love. They fell in love and they dated for a while. And then when she was finished with her, the English training and so forth, English classes, it was time for her to go back to Mexico, home. Come to find out, her family was a very affluent, prominent people of means, and he went back with her. He loved her. And the bottom line is, he, I guess, became part of the organization that her dad owned and so forth, and got engaged, got married, has a daughter, and so forth. And Ruben is living a happy, happy life. I share that to say this. Ruben really was from a third world country. Yes, educated, academically, he was educated. But the energy that he exercised had nothing to do with his education. Of course, he was a very cultured guy. So wherever he went, people liked him because he was respectful and prudent and, trustworthy and so forth. As a matter of fact, when he came to our house, we didn't know him. We only had met him there at my brother-in-law's house. But he came to our house and he stayed with us for 4 days, and we were totally happy with him visiting us. And then we had another nephew that took him out like on a Saturday night. So they really were having a grand time. They did some go-karts and a whole bunch of stuff. And we were okay. We were good with him staying with us on his way to Michigan. So he came and he had a certain mindset. But his determination, the things that he visualized, the things that he saw in his mind, the thoughts that he entertained, that yes, si se puede, yes, we can, yes, I can do this. I can do this. I want to learn English. I want to be proficient in English. I want a better life. I want to kick it up a notch. I want what I want. And now he's living his dream. Beautiful wife, beautiful kid, and great career in Mexico. That is a true story. And once in a while, my husband and I, because we are in touch, you know, and my husband and I would think about it and just really marvel as to how this guy Ruben, how he, I mean, his mind, his thinking. And I'm sharing that to say this to you, my friend. The universe has no favorites. One of the things that you have that no one can govern is your mind. No one can take that away from you. No one can tell you what to think. No one can tell you what to think. You have the ability to govern your own thoughts. You can be self governed. And the things that you don't want to think about, you can just dispel that. You can make sure you turn off the TV or turn the channel, or do whatever, and step out of a situation, step out of a circle, relationship, whatever, and move forward with what you want. It all starts here. You don't that's the main resource that you need. Now, this guy, and when I say, you visualize and you plan, it's not that money falls out of the sky. He sold his car. He said, I'm going to sell my car because he needed some cash. He sold his car, got an airline ticket, and came here. Of course, when he came here, he was our guest. Gladly, he was our guest. And then he went from Dallas to Michigan. Just imagine that. And today he has a family and he is happy, and it's just to see that happen. And you know why I can relate? Because I've made similar move. I remember one time I moved from New York City to California, and I didn't know. Look, I had already read that book, The Science of the Mind. And when that is your greatest asset, it's like you feel rich. Why? Because you can, when you're a repetitive thought becomes a habit. And when you continue to think positive and optimistic, and when I say positive and optimistic, I'm talking about think of the things that you desire. Think of the things that you want, that you desire for your life, the kind of life you want to live, the things that you want to do. When you know that you can think that through and make it happen, because your subconscious mind, excuse me, your subconscious mind does not discriminate the thoughts that you entertain. Whatever thoughts you entertain habitually, those are the thoughts, those are the things, the experience, the situations, the circumstances that will manifest in your life. If you're constantly thinking or worrying about something, that something might happen, guess what? You are setting the ground for it to happen. And knowing that, I think, about my well-being, my mental acuity, my health, travel, my relationship with my husband, my relationship with my family, my relationship with my kids, my relationship with people. I think in terms of kindness and love and compassion, those are the thoughts that go through my mind. And when I think of travel, that's why, whenever we plan to travel, I create a whole file with pictures. I go and I get pictures of the places that we plan to visit or the country, and I study it and I learn. And what happens is it's like I put myself there before I get there. So when I get there, in most cases, things are better than I anticipate because we have always been treated well and have good experiences wherever we go. So you have the ability to govern your thoughts. They're your thoughts. They're your thoughts. It's your thinking. Yesterday, Flora wrote on social media something. She said, there is something about this thinking thing. For me, it's a way of life. It's simply a way of life. And when I determine something, and see what happens is that when you make up your mind about something, and it's something that you do continuously, what happens is that that becomes the norm for you. That becomes the norm. You don't regress. You That becomes the norm. So um, if you plan to if you go to the supermarket and you buy a certain thing and because you like it, because you want it, because and it costs certain things, you're going to buy it because that's what you want. And whatever it costs, that may not, because that will not become an issue. And what I have found is that when you begin to act out the things that you desire, it, it becomes the norm. Your life now is a reflection of the thoughts that you have entertained. The way your life is now is a direct reflection of the thoughts you have entertained. And the thoughts that you're thinking, if you're worried that you won't be able to do this or you won't be able to do that, or worried about the kids, or worried that you may catch a cold. And as a matter of fact, I see people before you when the winter comes around, they plan ahead and they buy their Robitussin and their Vicks and their lozenges, and they keep all of that stocked. What are they doing? They are planning to get the flu or a cold, whatever. They're planning for that. They're planning for that. Now, if you have that in your, in your medicine cabinet, that's one thing. But I see, you see people. And I remember one time I was in the grocery store, and this lady said to me, you gotta stock up. You gotta stock up. And she meant to stock up on um, uh, cold medicines and flu and things of that, nature. And, of course, I just smiled because that's not my mindset. That's not my mindset. My mindset is that I'm going to navigate through this season without a cold, without the flu, none of that. I haven't had a cold in over 20 years. I don't even remember the last time I had a cold or the flu or anything of that nature. And I'm no different from anyone, in terms of, channeling your thoughts to your well-being and your health. You can do that. You can do that as well. You can do that. It's your mind. It's your thoughts, and it's your ability to think the things that you desire to come through. It is your mind. It is your ability to think. And the thoughts that you entertain, the thoughts that are repetitive, become a habit. And a habit is what is formed whatever it is, whatever habit it is, that is what creates a mindset. And that mindset, remember, a mindset, they're simply thoughts that are set in your mind. A mindset are thoughts that are set in your mind. These are the thoughts that I have. These are the thoughts that I entertain. These are the thoughts that governs my life. If I am going out and I'm apprehensive and in fear and so forth, those are the thoughts that reside in my mind. But if I am excited about life, if I am, confident and assertive and know that, I'm going to go out and things are going to be fine and I'm going to come back well with no incident and so forth, then that's what follows. That's what follows. The mind is a powerful thing. And to think that you have that asset, your mind, that it's like no one, regardless. You know what, think of Nelson Mandela in prison for, I think it's 27 years. Think of that. That is a good story. He's in prison for no reason. I think it was apartheid and things of that nature, some racially motivated thing, and he was thrown into prison. How could Nelson Mandela come out of prison to become the leader of South Africa? That is crazy. That is crazy. But it happened. Why? The mind. He may have been locked up behind four walls, but his mind was free. His mind was free. His mind was open, and he gave himself to the thoughts that would free him physically. That would free him physically, because he was already free mentally. He was free in his mind. Did whatever he needed to do. He did whatever he needed to do while he was in prison. But, he was locked up. Physically, he was locked up. And after 27 years, he became free. Physically, he was let out of prison, and then ran for president, prime minister, and was elected. My friend, waste no more time. You have a powerful tool that is part of you. You don't even have to ask permission what to think. You don't even have to be affirmed or none of that. It's your mind. And you have the ability to govern your thoughts. And if you want to have a good life, if you want to really make your life the way you want it, and you determine, it's not good or bad, right or wrong, the life that you desire. Because some people, they're just good where they are, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine, because not everyone desires the same thing. But whatever it is that you desire for your life, you can create that to live on your own terms. Make it a habit, and you can change. You can take on a fresh, new pattern and way of thinking. You can take on a new way of thinking. But I tell you something, by the time you do that, and people start observing things happening, because things will begin to happen, you begin to speak differently. You'll appear more assertive, more confident. Start doing things. Some people may think you're doing things prematurely. No, and you're just setting the stage for the things that you wish to accomplish. It is your life. It is your mind, your thoughts. and your ability. You could not tell Ruben that. I mean, it's interesting because going back to that story with Ruben, um, we didn't even have we didn't even have a chance to say no, but we did not want to say no. It's like the energy that he exuded, when he made that decision, and when he kept calling us, and he wanted to know what schools in Dallas. And again, remember, um staying at our house is not something that we offered. That didn't happen. Passing through and say a few days, yes, but to come and live here, and he picked up on that. But the energy he exuded just really prepared our hearts. It made us ready to want to help him in the ways that we could. And he was so appreciative because we opened our home, and we extended kindness to him, and made him feel at home. And he did. He felt at home. He stayed 4 days with us, and he was happy. And then after, I took him to the airport, and he went on to Michigan. Think of it. It's like, him exerting that sort of confidence, that assertiveness, that determination. It's like an energy. My husband and I, we looked at each other. It's like, it came upon us, but it was a good thing. We felt good. We felt not only safe. Safe was not even a part of the thought process, but we felt happy to host him for a few days before he went on to Michigan. And I don't even, we said, well, how did you meet this girl? And he said, well, on the internet. I guess I don't even know the details of that, but they became good friends. And she's an adult. And when he got there, again, the parents, they were away in Europe, and when they came back and they saw him, they said, no, 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 that's not, that just didn't work out. But that was fine, because right after that, he was not homeless for one day, not one moment. He met this other family that just fell in love with him, and their 10-year-old son just loved him, and he was able to play soccer with him, and just, and wherever they traveled, they took him. The power of the mind, the power of his thinking, we all have it. I've done some things that you would be aghast with my mind, and I still do. That's what I do. I take chances. I would take more chances if it, my husband's a little more conservative, reserve, and things of that nature. But yeah, you take chances. And it's not even chance. It's not even taking the chances when and when you are determined. This is what I want, and this is, and you know what? Along the line, just like he had to break up the relationship with his girlfriend, you may have to cut some ties. And it's not even that you would have to cut it. It just happens. It happens in a good way. There's no longer an interest, and yeah, you may stay in touch once in a while, but the relationship, with old connections and all that, it's just because you are on a different plane, you are on a different level, you're in a different type of experience. So you're talking with other people that have had similar experiences, people that are, enthused about life, and they know how it works. They know how it works. The thing that I am fascinated with is that anyone, you, me, your family, your spouse, anyone, once they understand how the mind works and the power that you have to make, to create, to make things happen, that it behooves you more to be positive than to be negative. And you have that choice. You have that choice. Every moment you have a choice. You have a choice. Are you going to create, make things happen, or are you going to sit and worry in fear about the possibility of things not panning out the way you hope that it does? You have a choice. You have a choice. You are in control. And that's why, I share that when you know this and you learn the truth about any situation, and that truth begins to take residence in your conscious mind, in your awareness, and then into your subconscious mind, no one can take you off that path. Why? Because it becomes your truth. It becomes something that resonates with you. And once you begin to own it, once you begin to own it as your truth, because the truth is not one size fits all. That is clear. The truth is not one size fits all. No, 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 no. If you're functioning by one size fits all, then your life will be in chaos. Because what works for me may not work for you. We are made up different. That's why we have our own personalities. We are individual. We have our own identity. And that is why it is important that you start establishing your true, authentic, genuine, and real identity. Not the identity that's been imposed upon you, because I'm telling you, if you have not journeyed and come to a conscious awareness of who you are living life on autopilot by default based on the information. Because again, by 5 6 years old, you have already, you are already molded. And you keep hearing the same thing over and over. Your parents, your teachers, religious leaders, social construct from all around. It's the same thing, repetitive. And that's why, you grow up and you say, well, that's not the way we did it. And that's not the way we, because why? Because there's a pattern that's repetitive, that's become a habit that you're used to. And, now that you're an adult, it may be something that doesn't serve you. And if you continue it, then it keeps you back. But if you have an open mind and say, wait a minute, I can change that. I can change that. No longer serves me. For me, my life, when as I'm going through my own journey, when I discover something that doesn't add value and meaning to my life, like, it has to be purposeful, it has to be meaningful, it has to add value. And it's something that I must see and recognize and know and acknowledge. And if that information doesn't serve me now, then it's not my truth. It's something that I learned, it's something that's been imposed, it's something that habitually, you think about, and there's no other way. And then I'm like, no, let's do something else. Let's do something else. Valentine's was yesterday. That for us was uneventful. Why? Because again, as I am journeying my own walk, discovering things that work for me, and I years ago I thought, Valentine's, and I start asking, what does it mean? How does it start? How did it start? What's the story behind Valentine's? And once I discovered what the story was, I thought, no, I'm done. It's a great holiday, not for me. So we don't do the gifts, we just don't do that. Why? Because doesn't resonate. In the past, I did it out of cultural construct, out of habit, and I was in the store the day before, and you see people, buying their cards and their flowers and their chocolate, and that's okay. No, no, no judgment there. That's okay for everyone that enjoys Valentine's. It's a great holiday, you know. But for me, when I say to live a meaningful and fulfilled life, that's my truth. I mean that. I want and consequently, life becomes rich and flavorful, and you can savor the moments. It becomes rich, it becomes significant because it's meaningful. Once I learned the story of Valentine, it had there was no meaning for me. Maybe for someone else, but there was no meaning of any kind of significance that made sense. So I just we just of course, I have friends that are sending, virtual flowers and so forth, and I respect that. And I would say cheers to you, enjoy your day, and that's it. Why? Because I have taken command, I have taken governance of myself. I am my own governor. I govern my thoughts and I govern the decisions that I make and what is going to work for me to make my life rich and meaningful, fulfilled. That's a thing for me. That's a thing for me. It may be, but that's just me. That's just my thing. Whatever works for you, that may not, that may be okay for you. Whatever it is, you determine that. You make a decision. Because if you want to have, when I say a meaningful and fulfilled life, those are not just words. Meaningful meaning, it has to add significance and value to your life. Richness and purpose is gotta have add value so that it means something. Otherwise, it's just operating on autopilot by default because somebody, they declared February 14th a holiday, so you just do it. And most people don't even have, it's a day where you celebrate romantic love and friends and family and so forth, and that's okay. If that works for you, great. I rather on June 16 give somebody a gift and they're, what's this for? No, I'm just thinking about you. Send somebody something and make this part of your life. It all depends on what you want your life to be like. What flavors do you want to add to your life? How rich do you want it? What does it mean to you? Does it make sense? Does it resonate? Again, truth is not one size fits all. No, it's not. It can't be because we have different personalities. We are individuals and, we have our own identity. And I'm telling you, the most, when you come into the knowledge of who you are, your true authentic self, I would say it is the most beautiful experience because what happens is that you don't have to think outside of who you are. You know who you are, and it comes with an element of a sense of confidence and assertiveness, and you're not afraid to say no to someone. I remember when someone was bugging me about something, I just said no. I said no, that's not going to work for me. I do that all the time because you know what you're made of. You know the things that are important to you. You know the things that have meaning in your life. And when you know that, you can You will arrive at a place where you will make sure that whatever it is that is whatever it is that's happening, that you are fully aware if it has to do with you. And that's why I say make sure your life is intentional. You have to be intentional and not just que sera sera. This is not for everyone. I know that because some people are happy in their comfort zone, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm telling you right now, there's no such thing as being on the fence. You cannot be on the fence like, oh, maybe, perhaps, woulda, coulda, shoulda. That just won't work. Because once you step out of the box or out of that circle, your comfort zone, once you step out, life begins to take on a whole new meaning. Once you step out, life starts to take on a whole new meaning. And you will get some pushback. You will get some pushback. And if you are not certain of what you want, you will miss the old. I know because it happened to me. Just that I was so determined, kind of like Ruben. I was determined. I wanted to, and now, even now, I am so determined in my goals, in where I'm going, and the things that I desire of life. I am so determined that I'm attracting people, situations, opportunities to my life that, I just got an email from someone. They want to meet with me for a situation. And I said to my husband, I said, wow, that's, somebody that I respect, a business person. And it just happened that way. It just happened. You start attracting. Why? Because that's the energy that I send out, that I am, serious and determined and, assertive about where I'm going and so forth. And don't get me wrong, sometimes I may have to take a step back, detour, take another path, whatever, but still I'm forging ahead. So you can't sit on the sideline or sit on the fence, like, I'm going to try this, but you still need the approval and the affirmation of others, because we miss that. You will miss that. You will miss the camaraderie with other people, that the place of comfort. These are your friends, virtually or in person. These are your friends, and you will miss that. You will miss, the attention. Excuse me. You will miss it. So if you're not sure, then you will take a back step, and you will come back into where it's comfortable, to where it's safe, to where you feel uh, love, given the attention that you desire, and so forth. And you don't go forward with the things that you want to establish the type of life that you want. It's easy to stay in the comfort zone. I'm telling you, it is so easy to stay in a place of comfort. It feels comfortable. It feels safe and secure and warm and harmonious, and it feels good. And you try to step out into the cold, where there's puddles and snow and sleet and rain and all that. If you don't have the right clothing, then guess what? You're going to run back inside. Why? Because it's warm, it's comfortable, it's fuzzy, and you have all the hot chocolate and feel good experience in a place of comfort. But a place of comfort doesn't progress at all. Why? Because there's stagnation. There's a repetitive habit. You do the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Repetition becomes a habit. And that's what creates the environment that you are in. And with that, I want to remind you, pay attention to your mind. Honor your mind and be consciously aware of the power of your thoughts. Start with something small, whatever it is. Just experiment and just, try to form a new habit. And you will see how it begins to open. It'll get right down into your subconscious mind. And I'm telling you, the subconscious mind does not care what it is. It just produces based on the thoughts that are deposited in it. By habitual thinking, repetitive thinking, it says, oh, okay, this is the raw material to work with, and they just go. So whether it's something that causes fear or anything, it will do that because that's the raw material it has to work with. But then if it's something that's positive, it's like, wow, I'm hoping to do this, or to meet, to get into this circle and to meet these kind of people and to travel to these places and so forth. That also becomes raw material your subconscious mind will have to work with and produce in your behalf. So with that, my friend, every Thursday we have a date right here, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. And if you can't make that date, then 24/7 you can view the show on LinkedIn, Facebook. See down here in the bottom right hand corner, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and you can just view the show. We're going to be doing some interesting things soon, and I will keep you abreast of that. In the meantime, if you have any questions at all, or if you have anything to share, shoot me an email. Go to my website, thecynthialinoxshow.com, and scroll all the way to the bottom, and you can shoot me an email and questions or comments or things of that nature, and I will either respond to you, or if it's something that I can share on the show, because what I have learned is that people have different situations and maybe questions or things they deal with, and if I can address those, I will. But the whole thing, my friend, is for you to really start living your life and enjoying your life unapologetically. But in order to do that, you must know your power. You must know that you are able, that you have the ability to create the life you desire. And you can do that now. So I will see you next Thursday, same time, same place. Until then, I say hasta la vista, au revoir, bye-bye, salut, and you have a fantastic weekend. And if you didn't make it to get out for Valentine's Day, well, you can always do it this Saturday. So anyway, ciao amigos, appreciate you much. Thank you for tuning in. See you next week. Ciao.